So far we've used primitive shapes. We have circles, we have lines, and you've probably created other shapes as well. But now let's go ahead and add an image inside, or a bitmap in this case, inside of our view. So I went ahead and added this Paulo image here. It's a picture of this handsome fella, Paulo. And we're going to add that inside of our view. Okay, so what I'm going to do inside of our draw here, I'm going to go ahead and let's comment this out. So in order for us to get this image and put inside of our canvas or inside of our view, we need to do two things. One is we need to create an actual bitmap. So a bitmap essentially is a map of a little bit. Think of a bitmap as a map that contains all of the pixels that we can put them together then to become something such as an image or a view or anything else that we can actually display onto the screen. So the first thing we need to do here, I'm going to go ahead and say, bitmap. There we go, bitmap Android graphics. I'm going to say, call this bitmap. I'm going to say is equal to, I'm going to invoke a factory class. So get bitmap factory as such, again from Android graphics. So this class here has methods that will allow us to actually create an actual bitmap, an actual image. Okay, so I'm going to say bitmap factory. I'm going to say dot resource, use this one, and what we need to pass here is the actual resource. So I'm going to go ahead and say get resources. That's the first thing I'm going to pass, and then I'm going to pass the actual path. So it's going to be r.id, actually r.drawable. I'm going to get the Paulo image. We have an issue here. It's not necessarily a problem, but it's giving us a warning that says avoid object allocations during draw layout operations, which means, let's go to say more. It says you should avoid allocating objects during drawing or layout operation. These are called frequently, so a smooth UI can be interrupted by garbage collections and so forth. So to avoid this, let's actually create at the top here an instance variable. Say private, such, and then we're going to instantiate it inside of our init. I'm going to say bitmap. In fact, we already have this code, so I'm going to go ahead and call this, and say bitmap is equal to, there we go. Get rid of this, because here on draw, we just want to draw, right? Right, so then we're going to say canvas to draw dot draw bitmap. Let's get this one here. So the first thing at the top, I want to say about 10 left. Oops, the first one has to be the bitmap. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the actual bitmap. Okay, and I'm going to say left. I'm going to give it 10. Top, I'm going to say 10, and null for paint. Okay, if we save this and give it a run, let's see what's going to happen. Oh, look at that. Look at that awesome, handsome gentleman there. Very nice. If we wanted this to be in the middle of the screen, of course, you know what to do. We could have gone and said here, get measure width and divide it by 2. And this one, we'll say get measure height, divide that also by 2. Save, give it a run. You can see now we should be in the middle of the screen. Oh, nope, I lied. Let's see. There's the thing. So the problem here is that this is indeed in the middle of the screen, but we were saying we want this top, which is the left X and Y, to be in the middle of the screen. But if we wanted it actually to be in this whole image in the middle of the screen, which means the middle of the image in the middle, what we would have to do is the following. We are going to subtract, let's go ahead and put this in parentheses. We're going to take, this is fun graphics here, not necessary, but it's nice to understand how to do this. So we are going to do this. We're going to say get measure width, divide by 2, and we're going to subtract by the height of the image by 2, and that is going to be the middle of the screen for the x-axis. And of course, we do the same thing with our y-axis. Okay, values. This is not necessary again, but I just want to show you cool stuff. So you can say get measure height, divide by 2, and minus the height of, oops, this has to be, let's see, this has to be width, and this to be get width as well. Height, this has to be get height. All right, so now we're getting the height of the screen divided by 2. So we're in the middle now. We're going to subtract it by the height of the actual bitmap, actual image, to find the center point of the image. And we're going to place that image in the middle of the screen. So if you run this, you should see. And look at that. So now the X in the middle here, so we are indeed, as you can see where my cursor is, this is the middle of the screen, and we're placing the middle of the actual image, my image there, to be also in the middle. That's how you put it in the middle of the screen. You notice that when we try the previous way, it didn't work because it's assuming this is indeed the middle, so it's pulling it to put to here, but that's not necessarily the middle of the image. Okay, to get to the middle of the image, we need to get the height and width of the actual image and then subtract that from the whole view width and height. Little graphics knowledge here so that you know, not necessary, but it's important to know. All right, so you're able now to add images, you're able now to use the brush, you are also able to create different primitive shapes such as circles, squares, and so many others. You're also able to use gradients and so forth. So now you have enough knowledge to be very dangerous. And with that said, I want you to be dangerous, meaning go ahead and play around with this concept, draw things onto the screen, add more bitmaps, and create images as we did here. Place them in different coordinates inside of our window, inside of our view. That way you can see that you have all the control you need in order to manipulate things inside of our view. And that's an amazing feeling. Okay, perfect. I'll see you next.